such a perpetrator.
By the way, Rabbi, we're going to have you back up. We've only got about 15 minutes left in the future to do a whole hour on this, but I'm seeing parallels with English and European common law. I mean, this is just common sense. Somebody's trying to break in your house at night. It's common sense. You got a right to kill them.
Well, in fact, Alex, the basis of a lot of English law, European common law, comes from Roman law, which is very, very closely connected with Jewish law of the Talmudic period, approximately 1,500 to 2,000 years ago. A lot of very similar jurisprudence, a lot of similar concepts. So, for example, what you're describing is called the Castle Doctrine. The Castle Doctrine isn't called that, but it appears in rabbinic literature, and it's discussed in exactly the terms that you're describing. If someone is breaking into your home, what are the assumptions you can make? Can you assume that this person is going to take property and leave, or do you have to assume that, or do you have a right to assume, in fact, are you obligated to assume that this person is out to cause you bodily harm, that this person is out to harm your family?
And they could run down the road and do it to somebody else, so you've got a responsibility to put them down.
If they're trying to get into your home, you have a responsibility to do something about that. Absolutely. Jewish law, in fact, looks at this as a question of responsibility much more than a question of rights. Most of Jewish law looks at our responsibilities. And we have a responsibility to create and construct a civil society. This person is behaving in a way that is outside of the boundaries of civil society. In doing so, they have given up their quote-unquote rights. And once they've given up those rights, you have responsibilities to maintain that civil society.
We're going to break in a moment, but let's get to number 2.
What was number 2? You want a second source?
No, I mean, there's so many. I just find it interesting.
Well, I'll throw a second one at you. The Rambam Maimonides, who lived about 800 years ago, he actually extends this further. There are questions about at what point this, I'll call it the Castle Doctrine, applies in rabbinic law. According to Maimonides, the Castle Doctrine applies not just to someone breaking into your home, but if someone is doing what we would call criminal trespass. Once that person is on your property uninvited and refuses to leave, meaning they've taken some active step to demonstrate that they are up to no good. Once they have refused to leave, that constitutes criminal trespass that is sufficient, according to Maimonides, to justify the use of force to get them to leave your property.
And that's why today you've got to have the sign saying, "Don't come on my land." That's the upfront warning.
That would be the upfront warning in today's society. That's right. Unless, of course, you live in Texas, in which case, presumably, no warning is necessary.
Yeah. We'll be right back. Interesting stuff. We could spend hours. It's good to know JPFO is still out there fighting, getting great material out. It's invaluable. JPFO.org. We're going to come back with Mr. Bendory on the other side. I'm Alex Jones, GCNlive.com.
Hey guys, are weaker testosterone levels taking you out of the game? Are you gaining fat, feeling tired, losing desire in the bedroom? Get back in the game. Call now for a risk-free trial of Ageless Male, a natural supplement shown to raise testosterone by 61% and maintain healthy, normal levels. No injections, no appointments. Just take Ageless Male every day and boost your testosterone by 61%. When your levels are healthy, you can feel energy again, a great outlook again, and yes, a healthy sex drive. The results are life-changing. Beware of cheap knockoffs. Ageless Male is an exclusive formula and the only one proven in research to boost testosterone 61%. Try Ageless Male, risk-free. Just call 1-800-497-8345. 1-800-497-8345. 1-800-497-8345.
From the shattered Rust Belt come the Lost Vegas.
Well, I think it's a little weird to talk about revolution over the themes and memes of corporate-produced and approved music. I'm Tony Yetzer from the Las Vegas. We produced and approved our own recordings on Life Before the Collapse, and then we put it on vinyl because it sounds good. Take care.
Drinking too much coffee. I'm eating the shade and somewhere
Life Before the Collapse by the Lost Vegas on 180-gram vinyl and mastered especially for vinyl by legendary audio engineer Steve Hall. Life Before the Collapse by the Lost Vegas. The Lost Vegas. Now available at Amazon.com.
OpticsPlanet.com is where discerning gun owners and outdoorsmen go to gear up. Optics Planet has the best selection of rifle scopes, red dots, night vision, holsters, bags, and tactical gear on the planet, with always low prices, free shipping on most orders, and expert customer service. Go to OpticsPlanet.com/GCN to get a free gift with purchase. That's OpticsPlanet.com/GCN or call 800-332-OPTICS, 800-332-6784.
HempUSA.org has a revolutionary wonder food for detoxing the body and rebuilding the immune system. Microplant powder can help unclog arteries and soften heart valves while removing heavy metals, virus, fungus, bacteria, and parasites. Plus, it cleans and purifies the blood, lungs, stomach, and colon. Keep your body clean with Microplant powder. Visit us at HempUSA.org or call 908-691-2608 today.
They're poisoning the water with fluoride. They're spraying the air with heavy metals. Why and what can you do to defend your family? This week at waterwebinar.com, in an all-new free live online webinar, Earth's most powerful cleansing secret is being revealed. A secret they don't want you to know about. Find out how to take fluoride and heavy metals out of your water and your body. Use it to neutralize deadly inorganic particles like lead, aluminum, even mercury, and remove these accumulated poisons from your body. Go to waterwebinar.com. A water secret so powerful, some have called it the #1 threat to the entire New World Order health agenda. It was even used during Chernobyl to clean up nuclear contamination. Go to waterwebinar.com now and sign up for free to find out how to turn the worst water on this planet into pristine, clear drinking water which heals your body. You can take your water freedom into your own hands and defend yourself and your family from the globalist health agenda. Don't get left behind. It's your life, your water, your freedom. Fight for it. Go to waterwebinar.com now.
All right, Rabbi David Bendory is our guest. We're almost out of time, but I will have him back up for a full hour in the near future because this is so interesting. He joins us via video Skype for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. For radio listeners, we'll be archiving the whole thing at PrisonPlanet.tv if you want to see it there. But getting into the history of gun control across the board, and, well, the nightmares that basically appear as soon as populations are disarmed. You've made a big study of this, and so has JPFO. Tell us about it.
We have spent a lot of time on this topic at JPFO. In fact, we have two, well, more than two, the two that were on my mind that are targeting specific populations. We have a video called No Guns for Jews. We have another video called No Guns for Negroes. And No Guns for Negroes looks at gun control as a tool of oppression against blacks. No Guns for Jews obviously does the same, looking at Jews. We have another video called Innocence Betrayed, which looks at the history of gun control as a predecessor to genocide throughout the 20th century, as used by the Soviet Union, by Lenin, as used in China, as used against the Armenians in Turkey, and, of course, as used against the Jews during the Holocaust. But, in fact, the history of gun control goes back far longer than that. I'm always fascinated. I ask people, what was the first recorded historical gun control event, the first historic gun control document? And people typically think this goes back, a few hundred years. In fact, it's much older than that. The first known historic source that has anything to do with gun control goes back to biblical times. In fact, the first book of Samuel in the Old Testament, chapter 13, verse 19, talks about the first use of gun control. Now, of course, we're not talking about guns. We're talking about swords, the guns of that time, as it were, the weaponry of that time, swords, bows and arrows, spears. The Bible tells us that there were no smiths, no blacksmiths found among the Jewish people. And the Philistines, who were, of course, their enemies at the time, said, well, we don't want the Jews to be able to make any swords or spears. And so what they did is they essentially declared a moratorium on sharpening tools for Jews. They made the price of sharpening a tool, even a plow, exorbitant. And so just a few verses later, we're told that on the day of battle against the Philistines, there were no swords or spears among all of the Jewish people in the entire Jewish army, save two. One in the hand of Saul, that's King Saul, and one in the hand of Jonathan, his son.
That's right. Back then, they mainly used slings.
They used slings. That's right. David, of course, king who was to become king, used a sling. But in terms of manufactured weaponry, it was swords, shields, bows and arrows. That's what was available. And the Philistines disarmed the Jews. In order to defeat us in battle, they, of course, failed because we had a weapon that they can't disarm us from, and that is, of course, God provided for the Jewish people then and helped us be triumphant in that battle. But that's the first recorded gun control. That's about 3,000 years ago. If I fast forward, you go to about roughly about 2,200 years ago, to the Book of Esther. The time of the Jewish dispersion in Persia. So I'll remind your listeners or those who aren't familiar with the biblical sources, the Book of Esther deals with a king named Ahasuerus, who is paid by a man named Haman, who wants to wipe out the entire Jewish people. And he gets a decree from the king saying that the people of Persia are allowed to attack Jews with impunity on a particular date. And so Esther, who is the Jewish queen at the time, she implores the king to save her people. And we're told, I'll give you the exact quote, the king declares, quote, the king had granted that the Jews were in every city to gather themselves together, to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, to cause to perish all the forces of the people and province that would assault them. Or in other words, the king gave the Jews the right to defend themselves. So clearly, if the king had to give them the right to defend themselves, prior to that, we had a decree, Jews aren't allowed to defend themselves, which is how their enemies were to be triumphant. So this has been a tool, this gun control, this idea of weapon control, has been a tool used to oppress the Jewish people for thousands of years. No Guns for Jews actually goes through that history, coming all the way up into modern times. Gun control, weapons control, arms embargoes, as used against the state of Israel to prevent the Jews there from defending themselves.
Well, Rabbi Bendory, we're going to have to leave it there, but it was great having you on. I look forward to having you back up to look at more history because it's just amazing, and we see it in every other culture throughout history. It's very fundamental. If anybody tries to disarm you, you're a slave. You're a prisoner. And blacks couldn't have guns, obviously, when they were slaves here, and then even after they were freed. First gun control laws there. You covered that in your excellent film. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Pleasure being here. Thank you very much for having me on. I look forward to being back.
I look forward to having you back for a full hour. Now, when we come back, we're going to look at the latest developments in the economy. We're going to get into the incredible stuff happening in Libya with the handover by NATO to al-Qaeda there. We're going to also look at the debates last night. It's all coming up. Stay with us. I'm Alex Jones.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones. I'm looking for people that have the wisdom to spot savings, opportunity, and recognize risk. Saving means to make money. The Cal-Ben Pure Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated and twice as good as what you're using now. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils that contain no useless dyes, perfumes, deodorants, or antibacterials. Your risk is the hundreds of hazardous toxic detergents that give you rashes, itching sores, and deteriorating clothing called lint. If you want something better, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. Getting a free catalog is easy by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com. Take charge of your health now by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com. A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. and it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com. Hello, friends. Alex Jones here. You all know I've worked for years with Steve Shank and eFoods Direct. I have eFoods for my own emergency food supply. You know, Steve, life is different now for all of us, isn't it?
Very different. People are using this great food to survive the present hurricane season, and we've already had $40 billion worth of damage from floods, storms, quakes, and droughts. And that's just the first 8 months of this year. Natural disasters are newsworthy, but only touch a few of us Americans. The huge issue of the Greatest Depression is on everyone's mind.